Alright, this is a video I never thought I'd have to make, but I need to do this. I want to help people. And out of all my videos, my life stories that I've uploaded and intended to help people, this is going to help the most people. And if you're a parent or you're a brother or a sister, show them this. I want people to see this, not just for good ratings because it's YouTube. I want people to see this because this could help people out. The police officer told me this is a very common occurrence and this does happen. This video is going to be about me telling you how to protect yourself. I'm going to tell you my story of what happened recently. And then, yeah. But alright. So, now you're all sitting down as a family, let's get into story time. Alright. I'm at my girlfriend's, and obviously I'm gonna leave out a bunch of stuff because for time's sake, and I'm not talking about how I had sex with my girlfriend on here, and I'm just gonna leave out a few things because I only got 9 minutes. All right, look, so I'm at my girlfriend's. I'm like, hey, I looked at the clock. I'm like, all right, like your dad's gonna be home soon. Want to have sex? She's like, yeah, sure. So she gave me consent right there. We had sex, and during the whole time, she never said no. She never said stop. So, bam, it wasn't rape. It was consensual sex. So, I didn't pull out because she told me a few days later it was on birth control and it was fine. So I didn't pull out. I get off of her, after doing the deed inside of her. She's freaking out and she's crying, and I'm freaking out because she's freaking out and crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, did you come inside me? And I'm like, yeah, you said you were on birth control, right? She says, she's freaking out. I'm like, you're on birth control, right? And I keep on asking her. She's like, no. Then she goes into the bathroom. She comes out. And then she's like, well, I'm on birth control. I just haven't been taking it recently. And at this point, I'm pissed. I'm like, all right, well, you said I could do that and it would be fine. And now all of a sudden, anyways. So she sits down on the couch. She's like, she tells me she hasn't been taking it recently. And then she's like, all right, well, you got to go, like, call an Uber. I want some alone time. So I get up, walk over to her, hug her. She returns the favor, and I leave. And I walk down the street, and I'm walking down the street, and I call my friend. I call my friend. I'm like, yo, can you come pick me up? I don't want to take an Uber. Blah blah blah. So he's on his way. Shout out to you. You know who you are. I'm sorry you had to see me get detained. But so I'm walking down the street. I call, no, I don't call, yeah, I call my friend obviously to get him to come pick me up. And I was like, meet me at this place. And I'm like, no, I'm not walking out of the neighborhood because I don't want her dad to come back and see me walking down her neighborhood because obviously I don't live, I live pretty far away from here. So obviously he knew something would be up if I'm just walking down his neighborhood. He's like, yo, like what happened? And I didn't want to have to tell a father like, yeah, I just had sex with your daughter and didn't pull out and she's mad and told me to leave. I didn't want to have that conversation, so I turned left and I went down this other side street. And I didn't feel like walking to where I told my friend to come pick me up at. I was being lazy. I just yeah. Anyways, so I'm waiting for my friend. A cop drives by. I wave to him. No. Before that, her grandma flies by in the truck. She was in the truck too, come to find out, because they were on their way to the hospital. I found this out later. They flew by at like 100 miles per hour down this, down this neighborhood street. And I'm thinking like, all right, something's up. Something's up. So after that, a few minutes later, the cop drives by me. I wave to him. Turns out he wasn't there for me, but he was just patrolling. I wave to him. He waves back. A few minutes later, it goes by, and he comes back. This time, he's on a mission to arrest the shit out of me. So he comes up to me. He like finger wags me. He's like, "Come here." He gets out of his car. Already has handcuffs in his hands. He's like, "Did you just rape a girl?" I'm like, what? Like, are you shit? Like, what? I'm freaking out. Immediately start crying. Like, false rape accusations. People do hard time for false rape accusations. And I thought there's no way out of this. My life is over as we speak. It's over before it even started. I'm 17. I'm freaking out, thinking there's no way out of this. There's no way to, there's no way out of this. And long story short, we go there. I talk to them, and I talk to the detectives. I was in a room with three chairs, a table, an interrogation room, basically. It didn't have the double mirror glass, but it was an interrogation room to question me. Um, I was being recorded. You should always, before the interview starts, it's 2016. They should already be recording, but you should make sure they're recording. Give them the full, honest truth. I kind of was beating around the bush talking about the sex thing because it was, I don't know, I don't like talking about how I just had sex with somebody to a stranger. But yeah, you should always be straightforward. Um, yeah, but tell them everything. At the end, I ended up telling them like everything that happened during the sex. It was just weird telling them at first, but I opened up. So, long story short, I go home. He drops me off at home, and the hardest thing I've ever had to do was call my mom and be like, "Hey, mom, don't freak out. I'm good. Uh, it's looking good for me. You know, I have evidence proving I'm innocent, but I was just falsely accused of rape. Could you talk to this officer?" Like it was horrible. Imagine having to tell your mom that, and I feel bad for her parents having to hear like yeah, I was just raped, mom. Like how do you tell your parents that if you weren't raped? How do you tell your parents that? Her dad must have been. Her dad could have came home and seen me, and after having to get the phone call, like, yeah, my daughter was just raped. He could have seen me and literally beat the shit out of me. He could have killed me right there, and I wasn't thinking about that. But after it's been a few days, I was thinking like, yeah, he was probably already on his way home. He could have seen me after getting the phone call, and just beat the shit out of me. Like, I don't know, but all right, so later that day, I'm home. It's nighttime. She's at the hospital, and they go over, they interview her, get her side of the story. Oh no, no, no! She ended up ending the interview. I'm not gonna give all the details, but she ended the interview, told them to drop the charges, and then she texts me later that night, and she's like, "I can see why you thought it was consensual. Um, yeah, of course it was fucking consensual because I didn't rape you. Like, are you? Oh my god, ladies, if you weren't held down, and look, she didn't say no the whole time. If she said no, I would have stopped. I'm not a dumbass. I'm not a retard. But she didn't say no the whole time. All right, look, if you're being held down against your will, if you're saying no, stop, please, that's rape. Agreeing to have sex, not saying no, stop, or expressing any type of discomfort with this situation at all is not rape. You were not raped. All right, this isn't, ladies. This isn't like rape is not something to joke around about. I was being accused of being the scum of the earth. I had this officer talking to people on the phone like, yeah, I'm here with the rape suspect. Do you know? I felt like complete. I felt like the scum of the earth. I felt like suicide by cop was an option. I felt like there was no way out of this. It was horrible. It was the worst thing I've ever had to go through. And I've done some dumb things in my life, but none of those. Rape was never on my mind. Sexual battery was never on my mind, and drugs was never on my mind. And I never thought in a million years, guys, you don't know if you're gonna be falsely accused of rape. But look, save any messages you have. If you're in a situation that I was in, save all the messages you have. And luckily, she did say drop the charges and everything, so this didn't have to go to court or anything, and I didn't have to just. I mean, obviously I have evidence proving my innocence, and she didn't. She had nothing but besides her saying, "Yeah, he raped me." But yeah, just be careful, guys. I don't know where I left off. I ran out of time. But moral of the story, females, if you were not held down against your will, if you gave consent, if you were not saying no, stop the whole time, you were not raped. It's as simple as that. Now, males that are watching this, there's the best way to save yourself from a false rape accusation is to not date a crazy female. All right, remember that. Don't date crazy females. They're not worth it. Obviously, take it from me. But yeah, that is my story, guys. Pretty shitty. That was probably the scariest point of my life, and of course, I think I said this in the video. Calling my mom and telling her I was just accused of rape. It it was the hardest phone call I've ever had to make, and I feel bad for her parents too. Having, it must have been horrible hearing that. Like, for everyone involved, this is shitty. Me especially. Um, yeah. But this has been Vulture, guys. That was my story. Um, this does happen. Protect yourself. Make sure the female says yes. Um, Hell, write a contract out, get her to sign it. Like, I don't know. There's really no way to protect yourself. Well, yeah, don't date crazy females, first of all. That's probably the best way to protect yourself. And yeah, guys, this has been Vulture. Well, I'm not going to say if you enjoyed it, but if this was helpful, if you enjoyed my story, maybe drop a like and subscribe. I don't know. But yeah, I truly hope this helps people.